Ray Carter never thought today would be different. He was on a standard shift, fixing the power relay in the cargo section of a trade freighter. The metal walls hummed with old circuits, and the air smelled like burnt plastic and engine oil. It was just another boring job in deep space, or at least that's what he believed as he crouched near a broken panel. Tightening a wire, alarms suddenly screamed through the hallway. Red lights flashed. He looked up in confusion and reached for his communicator, but before he could say anything, the floor beneath him shifted. A panel slid open silently. Something grabbed his ankle and dragged him down into the dark. He didn't have time to yell. The world spun. Then everything went black. When Ray opened his eyes, the air was colder. The light was dim and blue. He wasn't on the cargo ship anymore. He was lying on a cold floor, surrounded by smooth metal walls, covered in strange writing. Before he could sit up, a voice barked in a language he didn't understand. He looked up and froze. A tall alien stood over him, holding a glowing plasma rifle. Its armor was sharp and dark, its eyes unreadable behind a silver visor. Ray held up his hands, trying not to move. Another alien stepped into view, smaller and more graceful. This one removed her helmet and stared at him with cold violet eyes. Her skin shimmered with a faint purple glow. Her long black hair was tied back in a tight braid, and her face looked like it had never smiled. "Where did you come from?" she asked in Galactic Standard. Ray blinked. He tried to speak, but the words didn't come. His mouth was dry, and his heart was racing. I don't know. I was on the cargo ship, and then the floor just pulled me down. I swear I didn't do anything." The alien looked him over, her eyes narrowing. She didn't trust him. No one here did. A few more armored figures stood nearby, watching him carefully, hands near their weapons. Violet-skinned alien turned to another crew member and spoke quickly in their native language. Then she pointed at Ray. "He's not one of us. He's not supposed to be here. But there's something on him." The AI detected a hidden signal. The lights in the room flickered. A soft hum came from the ceiling as a smooth female voice echoed around them. "Unidentified biological marker detected. Ancient code signature active. Subject, human. Risk level, unknown." The crew shifted uncomfortably. One of them raised their rifle slightly. Ray could feel the tension in the room. He had no idea what was happening. The violet alien stepped closer. Her name was Zura. She was a mercenary known for precision and control. She had hunted criminals across 100 systems. She did not like surprises, and she did not like humans, but something about this one was different. Something about the way he looked at her. Like he wasn't afraid of her. Or maybe he was afraid, but still met her eyes anyway. Zura scanned him slowly. There were no weapons, no implants, no tech. Just a regular human in old mechanic clothes. Then the scanner beeped. A soft pulse glowed from beneath his shirt near his chest. She stepped back slightly, eyes narrowing again. "It's inside him," the AI confirmed. "Unknown bonding signature detected. Code matches lost artifact class. Reaction stable but untested." The room went silent. Ray looked around. He could feel something warm near his chest, a strange vibration in his bones. His heartbeat felt slower but stronger. He didn't know what the artifact was. He didn't know why it had bonded with him. All he knew was he was scared. But also Kiryushira didn't like this. Not one bit. She was ordered to scan the mark directly. That meant removing his shirt. That meant getting close. Too close. She walked over and tossed a small scanning pad into his hands. "Hold it to your chest." Ray obeyed. He pressed the pad to his shirt, and the light on the pad flashed red. It couldn't read through. Fabrichira sighed. Then she stepped forward and placed a hand near her own collar. Her fingers hovered there for a second. She looked him straight in the eye. "No peeking, human," she said sharply, her voice colder than before. Ray blinked, confused. "Wait, what are you doing?" "Turn around," she snapped. Ray turned his back to her slowly. He didn't understand why. But he didn't argue. The room behind him was silent again. Then he heard the sound of fabric shifting. A low mechanical whir. A soft intake of breath from someone in the cruiser carefully removed the top layer of her armor. Her fingers worked fast, her face stiff with focus, but her ears felt warm. She hated this. Hated how close she had to get to him. Hated how exposed. She felt she moved behind Ray and reached forward, gently lifting the bottom of his shirt. Her fingers brushed against his skin. That's when it happened. The air around them changed. Symbols glowed across Ray's chest, bright golden lines shaped like flowing rivers. The room filled with a faint hum. Zura's eyes widened. She stepped back quickly, pulling her armor back over her shoulders. The symbols faded slowly, but the hum remained. Ray turned around slowly, holding the scan pad in shaking hands. What was that? He asked. Ajira didn't answer. She was staring at the wall, lost in thought. Her mouth was tight, her eyes unreadable. One of the crew members spoke softly. It's real. The bond is real. The eye spoke again. Artifact is awakening. Human subject is now part of System Link. Monitor vitals and prepare for Phase 2. Ray sat down hard on the floor, breathing fast. Zura didn't sit. She just stared at him from across the room. For the first time in a long time, she didn't know what to do. That terrified her more than anything else in the galaxy. Ray didn't sleep that night, not because of fear, but because of everything that had just happened. He had no bed, only a corner of cold metal to rest on. The lights inside the ship never fully dimmed. Soft glows moved along the walls like breathing veins. Alien symbols blinked across panels. The voices outside his room spoke in strange tongues, but none of that kept him awake. It was the feeling inside his chest. That strange warmth was still there. Not burning, not painful, just present. Like a quiet heartbeat beneath his own. A second rhythm that pulsed with something ancient. He sat with his back against the wall, arms wrapped around his knees. The scan pad lay beside him, silent now. He stared at it. As if it could answer anything. He had been dragged from his normal life into something beyond understanding. A cargo tech turned mystery carrier of lost alien power. And worst of all, stuck on a ship full of mercenaries who looked like they wanted to toss him out the nearest airlock. All except Anna Zirasha hadn't said a word to him since the scan. She had avoided eye contact. But Ray had seen the shift in her. Something was different. Her stare was no longer just sharp and cold. It held something else, curiosity. The door to his room hissed open without warning. Zira stepped inside. Her armor was half off, chestplate hanging at her hip. A silver wrist device blinked softly. She didn't speak right away. She looked around the room, then back at Ray. You haven't moved, she said. Ray shrugged. Didn't think anyone wanted me to. She stepped closer and held up the scanner. Get up. We're going to the core chamber. The eye wants a deeper reading. Ray stood slowly. I still don't understand what this thing is. Why it picked me. I was just fixing wires. Zura didn't answer. She turned and walked out. Ray followed. They moved through narrow halls filled with alien tech. Pipes hissed above them. The floor vibrated under their steps. Ray noticed how the other crew members stared as they passed, not with welcome, with suspicion. The core chamber was different from the rest of the ship, circular, darker. The walls were covered in crystal panels. A glowing sphere hovered in the center, spinning slowly. It pulsed with light in sync with Ray's chest. The eye voice filled the chamber, subject stable, code integration active. Beginning Phase 2, Ray stood in the center. The light from the sphere reached toward him. Thin beams touched his skin. They didn't burn. They felt like cool water. Visions filled his mind. He saw stars collapsing, machines rising from ashes. A war fought without words. An empire made of silence. And then, a light, a voice. Something choosing him. Calling him. He fell to one knee. Zira moved quickly and caught him before he hit the floor. She placed a hand on his back and steadied him. "It's too much," he whispered as Zira leaned closer. "It's not hurting you. It's showing you." Ray looked up at her. Why me, Zira didn't know. But something in her eyes said she wanted to. After a moment, the lights faded. "The I spoke again. Human subject is now bonded with artifact signature. Emotional pathways are open. Watch for behavioral shifts." Ray stood up slowly, still dizzy. "What does that mean?" "Emotional pathways." Zura crossed her arms. "Ancient tech responds to thoughts and emotions. Most species rejected it. Too unstable, too dangerous. But you're kind. You think with feeling. That's what the artifact needs." Ray laughed quietly. "Great. So being emotional is finally useful for something." Zura gave a small smirk, barely visible, but it was there. "Don't get excited. We're still watching you." Ray raised an eyebrow. "Even you." She looked away for a second before speaking. "Especially me." Back in the common room, the crew gathered around a circular table. Maps of the galaxy floated above them. The captain, a reptilian alien with silver scales, pointed at a system near the edge of known space. "This is where the second artifact signal leads, but the Krell Syndicate controls that sector. If we go, we risk everything." Zura looked at the map. "We can't leave the signal unchecked. If they find it first, we lose our only chance to understand this link." The captain turned toward Ray. "And you? Are you willing to risk your life for something you didn't ask for?" Ray stood still. He looked at the glowing maps, then at Zura, then down at his chest, where the warmth still pulsed. "I didn't ask for this, but it chose me, so I'll see it through. Even if I'm scared." The captain narrowed his eyes. "Fear is smart. Keep it close." Zura spoke again. "I'll take him. Just me and him. Quiet ship. Less risk." The crew murmured in protest. The captain nodded. "You have 3 days. If you don't return, we assume the worst." Later, as Ray packed a small kit, Zura stood at the dock bay door waiting. Her face unreadable. He walked up to her. "Why are you doing this? You didn't even like me 2 days ago." She looked at him without blinking. "I still don't. But I've never seen the artifact respond to one. And it responded to you like it was waking up." Ray tilted his head. "Does that mean you trust me?" Zura stepped onto the shuttle and looked over her shoulder. "No, but I trust whatever's inside you." For now, the shuttle lifted quietly into space. Stars stretched across the black sky. Ray sat beside Zura in silence. She closed her eyes for a moment, arms folded. He watched her. She wasn't just a fighter. She was something more. He didn't know what was coming next, but for the first time he didn't feel alone. The stars moved like whispers across the shuttle's window. Ray sat in silence, strapped into the co-pilot's seat. Zura was beside him, focused on the controls. Her eyes didn't blink. Her hands moved with steady speed, adjusting flight levels and energy fields like it was second nature. They hadn't spoken much since leaving the main ship. The silence between them wasn't heavy. It was alert, watchful. Both were thinking the same thing. They were heading into Krell Syndicate territory. And Krells didn't give second chances. The small shuttle slipped into a dead zone between asteroid fields. It was a hiding place, one only smugglers and bounty hunters knew. Zura guided the ship like she had done it 100 times. Maybe she had Ray check the scanner. "Nothing on it. Are we close?" he asked quietly. Zira nodded. "Close enough to start watching for traps. The Krell leave bait. Wrecked ships. Distress signals. Then they wait." Ray glanced at her. Her jaw was tight, her eyes sharper than before. "They're hunters," she said. "They don't chase. They corner." Ray leaned back in his seat. "And what are we?" Zura looked at him. "Bait that bites back. If we're lucky." The shuttle passed through a narrow field of floating debris, half-melted ships, broken satellites, silent bodies in sealed suits. Ray looked away. The coordinates from the artifact pointed to a moon. Small, hidden in the shadow of a gas giant. From orbit, it looked lifeless, but the signal pulsed strong. Something was Turazira landed the shuttle in a tight crater. Dust kicked up as the engines cooled. They stepped out into the cold air. Ray wore a pressure suit. Zura only wore light armor. Her skin adapted fast to atmosphere changes. One of the many reasons she had survived so many battles, they moved across the rocky surface toward a crack in the moon's surface. A cave opened wide, dark and deep. The artifact inside Ray's chest began to thrum louder. It was guiding him. They entered the cave. The walls glowed with faint blue veins. The further they walked, the warmer the air became. And then they saw Ida's stone altar stood at the center of a wide chamber. Hovering above it was a piece of crystal, small, sharp, glowing, just like the pulse inside. He stepped forward, but Zura pulled him back hard. Wait, she scanned the area. Her wrist device blinked rapidly. Motion, she said. We're not alone. A second later, blaster fire exploded near their feet. Ray dove behind a stone pillar. Zura rolled across the floor and fired back. Red light lit the chamber. Shadows moved across the walls. Krell soldiers dropped from hidden ledges. They moved fast, like wolves. Their armor was sleek, almost alive. Their eyes burned with orange light rays. Heart raced. He had no weapon, only instinct. Zura fought. Like a storm, spinning, ducking, firing. But they were outnumbered. Ray turned to the crystal. It was glowing brighter now. The artifact inside him responded. He stepped toward it again. Another shot flew past his head. He flinched but kept going. Zira saw him moving. Get back, she shouted. I can't, Ray said. It's calling me. He reached the altar. The moment his fingers touched the crystal, time slowed. Light poured out of the altar. A circle of energy surrounded him. The Krell froze mid-step. Even Zura stopped moving, and then the visions came again. Ray stood on a burning world. Skies filled with machines, people screaming without sound. A single voice echoed through the fire. You are the spark they feared. You feel when others do not. That is your weapon. The vision faded. Ray opened his eyes. The crystal had vanished into his chest. The energy around him pulsed once more. Then died. The Krell screamed. One of them charged him. Zira moved fast. She tackled Ray to the ground and fired a clean shot through the attacker's neck. The others hesitated, then fell back. They had seen something in Ray's eyes, something not human. Not fully. The Krell retreated. Gone into the shadows. Ray lay on the ground. Panting. Zira stood over him, weapon ready. You touched it. Didn't you? Ray nodded. I didn't mean to. It just pulled me in. Zira looked around the chamber. Then at him. It's inside you now, both halves. That makes you the key. Ray sat up slowly. The key to what? Zira didn't answer. She offered him a hand. He took it back on the shuttle. They ran a scan. Ray's body showed signs of change. His nervous system was adapting. His brain waves were different, more active, more sensitive. Azura sat across from him. She didn't look away this time. You saved us, she said. Ray shook his head. You saved me first. Zura leaned back. You're not a soldier. Not trained, not ready, but you acted anyway. That's rare. Ray looked out the window. Stars drifted past like dust. I was scared. Zura nodded. Good. If you weren't scared, I'd start worrying. They sat in silence for a while, not tense, just quiet. Ray finally turned to her. You said the Krell don't chase. They corner. Zura nodded. Yeah, so if they're not chasing us now, they're waiting for us at the end. Wherever this thing is taking us. Ray swallowed hard. And we're going anyway. Zura leaned forward. We are. Ray looked at her. You really don't like humans, do you? Zura stared at him. I don't like weakness, or lies, or noise. But you're not like the others I've seen. Ray gave a tired smile. Thanks. I think, she tilted her head. Don't thank me yet. This journey's just starting. The real wolves haven't shown their teeth yet. Ray leaned back in his seat. But we'll be ready. Right, Zura smirked. We better be. As the shuttle sped away from the dead moon, the stars shifted again. The artifact inside Ray's chest glowed once more, and far in the distance, deep in the void of space, something massive turned its gaze toward him. Something ancient, something hungry. The wolves had smelled the spark, and now they were coming. The vault stood in silence beneath a dying star from orbit. The planet looked like ash, no clouds, no life. Just cracked ground and endless storms. Long ago, this world had been part of a thriving empire. Now, it was forgotten, but something had survived. Ray Carter stood at the edge of the drop ramp, staring out at the surface. Black dust swirled around the ship. The wind howled like it was angry. He tightened the straps on his suit. Zira stepped beside him, her armor coated in matte gray, matching the color of the planet. Her face was calm, but her fingers tapped against her weapon, a habit she didn't notice anymore. You sure about this? She asked. Ray nodded. I followed the signal. The artifact pointed here. There's something in the vault. Maybe answers. Maybe more. Zura stared at the scanners. No movement yet. But I don't trust empty maps. The Krell were too quiet after the moon. That means they're ahead of us. Not behind. Ray looked into the storm. Then we go fast. Before they lock the door, they moved quickly across the ruins. Buildings half buried in sand. Statues cracked by time. Symbols glowing faintly along the stone. Ray felt the artifact in his chest pulsing stronger now. Like it recognized home. They reached a massive stone gate. No handle. No code panel. Just solid metal covered in writing. Ray couldn't read. He reached out and placed his hand on the surface. A ripple moved through the door. Then it began to open. The stone parted slowly. Dust fell like snow. A low hum echoed through the air. Zira raised her rifle. Don't relax. The old tech may still defend itself. Inside, the vault was darker than night. Lights flickered on as they stepped through. Soft golden light. Warm. Inviting. Too inviting. Ray moved carefully. The air felt heavy. Not just with pressure, with memory. Every wall held carvings of a forgotten time. Stories of machines rising. People resisting. And then silence. At the heart of the vault stood a large chamber. Round. Smooth. In the center floated a massive object. Not crystal, not metal. Something in between. Alive yet asleep. Ray felt the artifact inside him burn hot. His legs moved without thinking. He stepped closer. Zira grabbed his arm. Wait. Ray looked at her. I can feel it. It knows me. Which means it may use you. Or consume you. You don't understand how alien tech works. It doesn't think like us. It doesn't care what we want. Ray took a breath. I know. But we came this far. If we walk away now, what was the point? Zura stared at him for a long second. Then she let go. Go, but slowly. Speak with your heart. Not your mouth. Ray stepped into the light. The object pulsed once. Then again symbols floated in the air around it. They spun fast. Too fast to follow them. They stopped. A voice filled the chamber. Human carrier. The second core has arrived. Do you accept the link? Ray swallowed hard. Yes, I accept. The object dissolved into light. The energy rushed into Ray's chest. The artifact within him screamed with power. His legs buckled. His hands shook. Zira ran forward. Ray, he dropped to his knees. His eyes were open, but not seeing. He was somewhere else again. He saw a council of ancient beings. Watching him, judging him. You carry balance, the voice said. You are emotion made form. You are the danger they feared, Ray gasped. I don't want to be a danger. You already are. The light faded. He was back in the chamber. Zira held him steady. Talk to me. What did you see? Ray breathed slowly. They called me balance. They said I'm what the machines feared. Emotion is the weapon. Zura's grip tightened. That explains the syndicate. They follow order. Cold. Logic. The artifact must be something they can't control. That's why they want it destroyed. A deep rumble shook the chamber. Zura pulled Ray to his feet. They know we're here. The vault entrance exploded. Krell soldiers swarmed in. Zura fired first. Ray ducked behind a pillar. He could feel something inside him now. Not just power, direction, purpose. The artifact was alive. It didn't just protect. It guided. He placed his hands on the floor. Symbols lit up across the chamber. Lines of energy raced toward the Krell. Pillars rose from the ground, blocking the enema. Zura turned, stunned. You're controlling the vault. Ray stood. I'm not sure how, but it's helping me. The Krell leader stepped forward, tall, clad in black armor. His voice echoed through the room. You are not meant to hold that power. Give it up. Now Ray stood firm. I didn't steal it. It chose me. The Krell, Zura, blocked the shot with her shield. She turned to Ray. This is your fight now. I'll cover you. But the decision is yours. Ray looked at the floating symbols. The vault offered one last gift. A path. He stepped into the center of the room. The artifact inside him flared. A pulse of light exploded outward. The Krell were thrown back. The chamber sealed. Silence. Ray dropped to the ground. Shaking. Zura rushed over. You did it. You actually did. Ray nodded slowly, but this wasn't the end. It was the door. She helped him up. What do you mean? Ray looked at her. There's another vault. One more, and it's on Earth. Zura froze. Earth. That planet isn't even on our star. Maps. How do you know? Ray touched his chest. It showed me. I saw my home. The last pieces buried there. Zura stared at him, then looked toward the sealed door. We'll need the full crew. And allies. If the Krell know, they'll bring everything. They have. Ray met her eyes. Then we bring everything we are. For the first time. Zura smiled fully. Not a smirk, not a cold grin, but real. You better not die, human. I've risked too much already. Ray laughed weakly. I'm starting to like you too. Zura, she rolled her eyes. Don't push it. Outside the storm raged, but deep below, something old had awakened. The final path was clear. Earth was no longer just a memory. It was the battleground. The wolves were already moving. The shuttle drifted in silence through uncharted space. Ray Carter sat by the window, watching the stars pass like slow sparks in the dark. Zura was in the pilot seat, her fingers gliding over the controls. They hadn't spoken much since leaving the vault planet. Not because there was nothing to say, because there was too much. Ray still felt the weight of the second core in his chest. The artifact pulsed faintly, like it was sleeping or waiting. He leaned his head back and closed his eyes. Suddenly, the ship jolted. Warning lights flashed across the control panel. The engines groaned. Zura cursed it under her breath as she pulled hard on the stabilizers. Ray jumped to his feet. What happened? Zura scanned the panel quickly. Gravity net. We passed through a Krell perimeter. They laid traps in the outer zone. Passive tethers. No active weapons, yet. Ray looked out the window. The stars were twisting. The ship was drifting toward a dark, frozen moon surrounded by wreckage. It looked dead. Zura activated the emergency thrusters, but the ship kept falling. Manual landing. Hold on. They crashed down hard. The shuttle skidded across the ice before grinding to a stop near a jagged ridge. The lights flickered, then went. Outre sat up, rubbing his head. You okay? Zura pulled herself up from the floor. Nothing broken. Power cells are damaged. We need to repair the fusion line. And fast. If the Krell scan this zone, they'll come running. Ray grabbed a toolkit. Where's the access port? Zura pointed toward the back compartment, under the floor panel. You'll need to bypass the auxiliary line manually. That means crawling under the conduit. Ray sighed. Figures. Always the crawling. As Ray opened the hatch, a wave of cold air hit his face. The ship's temperature systems were failing. Without repair, The inside would freeze in less than 2 hours. He climbed down into the crawl space. The metal was cold to the touch. Sparks flickered from a broken wire. He pushed forward, teeth clenched above. Zura checked the heat levels. Her armor regulated temperature, but only in combat mode. To conserve energy, she began removing outer plates. Starting with the chest guard and arm shields, her skin shimmered slightly in the low light, reacting to the cold. She sat near the engine core, her long braid tucked over one shoulder. Eyes closed as she focused on her breathing. Ray's voice came through the comm line. "Okay, I found the fuse box. It's in terrible shape. But I think I can reroute the line through the coil if I bypass the third socket," Zura replied calmly. "You'll need to ground the voltage first. There's a switch by your elbow, black with silver ring. Turn it slowly. If you move too fast, it will arc." Ray followed her instructions. A loud hum filled the crawl space. Lights came back on. Heat systems buzzed to life. He crawled out, covered in dust and sweat, and stepped into the main room. Then he stopped. Zira was standing by the control panel, arms bare, back half turned. She was checking readings on her wrist device. Her skin was glowing softly in the warmth. Her muscles looked like they were carved from crystal. Not fragile, but sharp and strong. Ray quickly looked away. "Sorry, I didn't know you, I didn't mean to." Zura turned her head just slightly. Her face didn't show anger, but there was color on her cheeks. A soft shift in hue that Ray had never seen before. Her voice came low and clear, no peeking. "Human." Ray stared at the wall. "I wasn't. I mean, maybe a little. But not on purpose." Zura picked up her armor and started reattaching the plates. "You're very loud when you crawl. Like a mammal dragging tools through a kitchen." Ray chuckled. "Nice to know my suffering has entertainment value." Zura sat down near the heater and adjusted her leg brace. Her face was calm again, but her eyes stayed on him longer than usual. Ray sat across from her, arms resting on his knees. "Can I ask something personal?" Zura raised an eyebrow. "You've already peeked." "Might as well speak." Ray gave a nervous smile. "You always talk about humans like we're a problem, but you keep helping me." "Why?" Zura looked at the floor for a moment. Her voice came quieter than before. "My sister trusted a human during a mission. He said he would protect her, said he cared. Then he ran when the Krell attacked, left her behind. I found her ship 3 days later. Cold. Empty." Ray swallowed hard. "I'm sorry. I didn't know." Zura's eyes narrowed. "I don't tell that story for pity. I tell it so you understand. My kind doesn't forget easily, but we do observe. And I've been observing you." Ray met her gaze. "And what do you see?" She leaned back against the wall. "You're not brave, not trained. But you don't stop moving. That's unusual." Ray looked at his hands. "I think that's just called panic." Zura's lips curved slightly. "Almost a smile, maybe, but panic can save lives. It keeps you alert. It's what kept you alive through 2 vaults and a Krell ambush." Ray hesitated. "Do you think I'll survive what's next?" Zura's smile faded. "I don't know, but I'll fight with you until the end. That much I promise." Ray nodded. "I'll hold you to that." Silence returned. But this time it wasn't awkward. It was warm. The heater clicked softly. Outside, snow began to fall on the frozen moon. The ship was safe for now. The engines would take a few hours to repair. Ray closed his eyes. He could still feel the hum of the artifact, still hear the voice whispering across his mind. He opened his eyes again. "Zura," she looked up. "If we survive all of this, if we stop the Krell, if I'm still breathing when we're done, what happens to us?" Zura tilted her head. "You think too far ahead." Ray smiled gently. "Yeah, but I want something to look forward to." Zura leaned back, eyes half closed. "Then survive, human. And ask me again when we're both still standing." The lights dimmed as the ship entered. Low power mode. The cold faded, and under the soft glow of starlight, The mercenary and the human rested side by side, not as enemies, not yet as something more, but no longer alone. The rift opened without warning, a jagged tear in space, stretching like a wound across the stars. Lightning cracked through its edges. Gravity twisted the space around it, pulling debris, lost satellites, even light itself into the void. This was not a natural storm. It was old. Made by something that was never meant to be awakened. Dre Carter stood on the command deck of the mercenary ship Valkyra, his eyes fixed on the growing tear outside. The artifact inside his chest pulsed faster now, hotter. It no longer whispered. It shouted. Something was calling from beyond the rift. Syrah stood beside him, fully armored, her expression cold but calm. Around them, the crew worked in silence. No jokes, no arguments. They all knew what this meant. The final piece of the artifact's code had activated, and it had opened a path straight into the Krell's stronghold. Ray turned to the captain. A four-armed beast with glowing red eyes. How long before they see us? They already have, the captain said. Pointing at the scanners, 6 Krell warships are holding position near the mouth of the rift. But they're not attacking yet. They're waiting. They want you to come inside. Ray's stomach twisted. So it's a trap. Zura answered before the captain could. Of course it's a trap. But it's one we have to walk into. Ray looked at her. Why not just destroy the rift? Collapse it before they pull more ships through. The captain's voice dropped lower. Because that would break the chain. The artifact would lose its connection to the final core. If you don't go in, you'll never finish the link. Ray clenched his fists. The artifact inside him burned brighter with every second. He could feel it pulling him forward. Whatever was inside the rift, it wanted him. Zira turned to him. You don't have to go alone. I'll be with you. Every step. Ray looked into her eyes. Even if it kills us, Zura nodded. Especially then. The ship moved closer to the rift. Energy wrapped around its hull. The controls buzzed under the pilot's hands. Alarms rang softly, but no one flinched. They all knew this was the endgame. The Valkyra slipped through the rift, and the stars disappeared inside the rift. Nothing looked real. Space was liquid, time bent and stretched. Colors shifted with emotion. The artifact inside Ray responded wildly, adjusting to the unstable reality. He gritted his teeth as visions returned. A war without sound, a world built of fear, a throne made. From broken souls, Ray fell to one knee. Zura grabbed his shoulder. What do you see? He gasped. They built this place as a prison. Not for people. For the last guardian. The one holding the core. It's alive. Suddenly the ship shuddered. A voice filled the chamber, deep, cold, wrong. You do not belong here. The crew grabbed their weapons. The lights flickered. Ray stood. I do now. The ship descended through the rift and reached the eye of the storm. There, floating in the center, was the final vault. Not stone this time. Not crystal. A massive living structure, breathing and shifting. Like it had been grown rather than built, and surrounding it dozens of Krell warships. Zira stared at the battlefield. They were guarding it. All this time, keeping others away. They were never trying to use the artifact. They were trying to stop it from waking up, the captain growled. Too late now. Ray felt the artifact pull him again. We have to land. Inside that vault. That's where it ends. Zura gave orders fast. Dropless with the stealth pod. Mask our signal. Draw their fire to the other side. The crew nodded. The pod detached and dropped silently toward the vault inside. Ray held onto the seat straps as the pod shook violently. Zura sat across from him, checking her blades and blasters. Ray watched her. If this doesn't work, she cut him off. Then we fight until we can't anymore. But don't speak like it's already lost. You carry something older than war. Older than fear. It didn't choose you to die in a hole. It chose you to finish the story. The pod slammed into the side of the vault. The doors hissed open. They stepped out into a chamber filled with light. Pillars rose and fell like lungs breathing. The air shimmered. Voices echoed through the walls, not angry, not hostile. Just tired. In the center was a figure, not Krell, not machine, something. In between. It turned toward them slowly. Its face was hidden behind a smooth mask. Its body glowed with the same light as the artifact inside Ray. "You are late," the figure said. Ray stepped forward. "I came as fast as I could." The figure tilted its head. "You are not the first human it tried to bond with. But you are the first who didn't break." Zura stood beside Ray, her weapon ready. "What are you?" "I was the keeper of the last core. I was meant to protect it from both sides. From the Krell, from the rebels, from the humans. But my time is ending. You must take it now." Ray felt his chest burn. "I don't know if I can hold it. I barely survived the last one." The keeper reached out. "You already carry emotion, fear, hope, anger. That is enough. The core responds to what is real, what is felt. You are more than enough." Ray touched the keeper's hand. The final surge hit like a supernova. He collapsed. Zira caught him. His body glowed from the inside. The artifact was whole now, and the vault began to collapse. The keeper smiled faintly. "You brought balance. Now bring peace." Outside, the Krell ships opened fire. The Valkyr returned, blasting through enemy lines. Ray stood on shaky legs, his eyes glowing with pure light. Sira stared in awe. "Ray," he turned to her, "I feel everything. Their fear, their confusion, even their hate. But I can shut it down. I can stop them without a single weapon." He raised his hands, and the storm responded. Rift pulsed once, twice, then folded in on itself. The Krell vanished with it. The vault faded, and silence returned back. On the ship, Ray collapsed. Zira knelt beside him, holding his face. His breathing slowed. His voice was weak. "Zira, don't speak. Rest." He smiled faintly. "You said, ask you again. If I survive." Zira leaned closer, her voice softer than ever before. "Ask me, human." He stared into her eyes. "What happens to us now?" Zira brushed her fingers across his cheek. "Now, we stop running, and for the first time there was peace. The war was over, but the silence after was heavier than any battle. The rift was gone. The final core was sealed. The Krell ships had vanished, pulled back into whatever void they came from. Ray Carter had survived. Barely. He lay in the recovery chamber aboard the Valkyr, surrounded by soft blue lights and humming machines. The crew had patched him up, but no technology could fully understand what had happened to his body. Or his men. Jira sat beside him, one hand resting gently on the edge of his cot. She hadn't left his side since they pulled him from the ruins of the vault. He hadn't opened his eyes in 2 days. Then suddenly he breathed deeper. His fingers twitched and his eyes opened. She leaned in fast, her face calm, but her voice too sharp to hide the emotion behind it. "You're awake." Ray blinked, adjusting to the light. "Yeah, still here." "That's a surprise." She didn't smile, but her eyes softened. "You stopped a galactic war. You shut down a rift in space. You bonded with something ancient and angry. You've earned the right to be surprised." Ray tried to sit up. She helped him. He looked around the room. "Where's the captain?" Zira answered without moving. "On the bridge. The crew's handling refugee transports now. There are ships arriving from the outer sectors. People who were hiding during the conflict. Everyone's coming out of the dark. For the first time in years, no one's afraid." Ray touched his chest. The glow was gone. The artifact no longer buzzed beneath his skin, but something had changed. He wasn't normal anymore. He wasn't even sure what that meant. He looked at Zira. "So it's over." She nodded once. "Almost. The artifact's energy faded after you collapsed. The eye says it's dormant now. Like it finished its job. You were the last piece. The last voice. It listened to you. And now it rests." Ray leaned back, and the Krell retreated beyond known space. Whatever was driving them, it's gone. They're just a silent fleet now, empty, no commands, no movement. Like statues in space. Ray looked away. "I didn't want to destroy them. Just stop them." Zura stood and stepped toward the window. You didn't destroy anything. You showed them something they couldn't understand. Emotion, mercy, connection. You changed the rules. He watched her as she stared out at the stars. And what about you? What happens to you now? She turned her head slowly. That depends on your next question. Ray smiled. I think I asked it before I passed out. She nodded. You did. And I said ask me again. Ray sat up fully now. Stronger than before. So, what happens to us now? Zura stepped closer. I'm a warrior. A protector. I've spent my life chasing enemies. Living by missions, cold orders. No attachments. Then a human fell into my ship by accident. Loud, untrained, confused, and brave. Ray tilted his head. Was that a compliment? She ignored that. I've seen what you do, how you fight, how you listen. You carry your fear, but you never let it stop you. I stopped trusting a long time ago. But I trust you. Ray swallowed hard. That sounds like a yes. Zura leaned closer, eyes never leaving his. It's a beginning. The door opened, the captain entered, two of his arms crossed. The others tapping at a data tablet. You two done whispering emotions at each other. Because we've got something to talk about. Ray raised an eyebrow. I'm technically still healing. The captain didn't care. We've had 3 requests come in already. The council wants you both to speak on behalf of the artifact. They want you to lead the peace effort. The fringe colonies are calling you the Heartbearer. Some are calling Zura the Flame Guard. Don't ask me what that means. Politics is not my field. Ray looked at Zura. You ever done politics? She snorted. Solve problems with a blade, not words. But I guess we can learn. The captain stepped closer. There's also something else. A signal from Earth. Ray straightened. What kind of signal? Official. The Human Galactic Union wants a full report. They're asking for you by name. They want to know if you're still human. Or something else. Zura watched him carefully. Ray sat quiet for a moment. Tell them I'm alive. That's all they need to know for now. The captain grunted. Very well. Also, the crew voted while you were unconscious. Ray blinked. Voted for what? Zura smirked. Whether you stay or go. You're not a guest anymore. You're one of us. If you want to be. Ray's chest rose with a quiet breath. He looked around the ship, the crew, the metal halls, the stars outside, and then he looked at her. I think I belong here, not just because of the artifact, because of everything I found along the way. Friends, purpose, and his voice softened. You, Zura, didn't look away, then stop running. He stood slowly, still a little unsteady. She caught his hand and didn't let go. The ship moved through space now, free of alarms. No war, no chase, just quiet travel. Ray stepped onto the bridge. The crew saluted. Even the coldest mercenaries gave small nods. Not because he was powerful, but because he had survived. Chosen. Changed. At Zura took her place beside him. The stars ahead were open. A voice echoed gently through the artifact one last time before fading. Completely. Balance restored. Ray turned to Zura. What's our heading? She tapped the nav screen. Anywhere. Everywhere. As long as we go together. He smiled. For the record. I peeked. Back in the shuttle. Just a little. Zura raised an eyebrow. You peek again. I might punch you. Ray grinned. Worth it. She didn't punch him. She smiled, and the stars welcomed them both.